we're going to get my gear. I have two cameras. These are on a lockable carabiner, and this one has a super wide angle zoom on it. And that means that I can go from long to wide angle and I don't have to change lenses. So there we are.
I'm Ross Becker. I'm a photographer. I take photographs of what's happening in Christchurch.
Yeah, this is usually where we start. We take the photographs of the cathedral, and this is always one of the saddest parts of a visit to the red zone because of what this building has meant and the ongoing damage to it. So every time you come, it just looks a little sadder somehow. The red zone has got increasingly complicated as it's got smaller.
Yes, it's just dynamite.
My name is Fraser, and I'm a librarian by qualification, so I've always had an interest in the information sharing part of the work that we do.
They're a husband and wife team who bring different skills to the table. Ross Becker was hired by the National Library to snapshot and permanently store the aftermath of the September 2010 earthquake, but as events unfolded, more was asked of them. Following the February earthquake, Ross's first visit to the Central City Red Zone was in April 2011.
Initially, it was interesting. It was quite moving, really, because here you had a lot of demolished buildings, and particularly you were in areas where people had died. That was quite emotional.
But as the National Library's funding was cut and they now do the job voluntarily, their work became so much more than capturing the CBD.
Of course, it's an area 4 times the size of Hagley Park.
Now the majority of their efforts are centred out east in the residential red zones, where over 7,000 homes are being demolished or will be knocked down.
So the streets that we have been studying intensively, we take photographs of every house. We don't necessarily use all of those photographs, but we have a photograph of every house.
I use this camera with the wide lens, and for the numbers on the letterboxes, I will use this camera and just take the numbers, so we've got to double check that the number matches the house. We use Mura as a measuring pole to get some idea of how deep the liquefaction is.
Disgusting! Does it look foul? I just like the stuff. I normally stay here and let him go down there.
But emotions aren't as strong as when they first went into the devastation.
We've seen these houses so many times. It's awful to say, but it's almost business as usual.
Taking pictures isn't the full story. Relationships have blossomed out of the chaos in the residential red zone. Pam Rinson, the only person left on a red zone street, has lived in Burwood for 9 years. She sees Ross and Moira as key people in the recovery.
They've provided a visual outlook on what has been going on in our area. When you see something from a different perspective, you realise that you're not just one person, there are other people who care. I think that's what they have provided for us. They've provided a link.
We have met so many people in this, doing this project, and you see a completely different perspective on life.
We fell into a place that felt like we were able to do something useful, which was actually, for me, it really felt like it was listening mostly, and then retelling, and the photographs were part of that.
I think I was always part of shaping the story. So to me, always taking these photographs was not just about taking photographs, it was about photographs that would tell the story to future generations.
They went to social media to share these stories. Their Facebook page has nearly 14,500 followers and photos have been viewed 34 million times.
The great thing about answering questions with photographs is that you're not telling people, you're showing them. They can look at the photograph and draw their own conclusions.
Ross and Moira moved to Christchurch in October last year, but they didn't move into your conventional home.
As a point of principle, we wanted to be less concerned about possessions and more concerned about people and about doing something worthwhile.
So we did just that, and we got rid of our stuff. Trade Me was great.
We weren't ready to retire. We didn't want a retired lifestyle. We wanted a travelling lifestyle, so the mobile home enabled us to be in different parts of New Zealand and to do that. Right from the start, it was clear the rewards for this work are not financial ones at all. They're intangible.
And even with their commitment and resolve, their time in a battered city has had its effects.
I suppose, and it's interesting really, the thing that affects me most was not actually being in the city taking a photograph, but a photograph that I took in Cashel Mall of a nondescript small building really, and this photograph I put up on the web. It was one of the 200 or 300 pictures that I'd put up, and a number of people commented on those pictures, and one of those comments under that picture struck me and got me in the throat, and the comment was just, "R.I.P. my beautiful sister." And I don't know why I feel like I do. Sorry.
There were many nights when something that somebody wrote made us cry, and we'd have a hug and go on with what we were doing.
That's very wonky. That house is sunk badly back.
And despite the emotion, they will continue to do this work for as long as they're needed.
Joy, talking to people, hearing their stories, and hearing their stories about how much our work has helped them move forward and come to grips with what happened, and that's important, and that's joyful, knowing that we're helping so many people.
Yeah, that's good. Very good.
It's been a real honour as well as a privilege to share this story.
I'll take them long shots of that house over there.